So how have you approached the week after a pretty good victory against the Dockers?
Yeah, obviously it was a pleasing result, but at the same time, we know the challenge of playing St Kilda, the quality of their team. It's going to be a big occasion, obviously Spud's game, and one we're looking forward to.
How did the senior guys go in the VFL? I think Jack, Michael and Jake all played.
Yeah, so we had Vines, Melky, Hibbo and Vanders, and they all played really well. So it's great that we're starting to get some players back available for selection, but it's tight for spots. Jack's, we think he's done enough work and we think he'll play, but we'll get through this afternoon and see where that sits.
Are the other three available?
Yeah, they're available, but as I said, it's tight for spots, so we've got to really assess where our team's at, where we get maximum impact, and some of the young guys that come in and played really well. Jordan, Sparrow, those guys are playing really well, so it's hard at the moment for spots.
With the senior guys, is it important that they get this extra body of work before they come back? You don't want to rush them back, especially when you're winning games.
Yeah, there's no rush. We think we've got depth in our list, and as I said, we've got some young guys that are playing good footy, and it's competitive for spots. And the senior players are going to have to earn it, and that's a good position for our footy club to be in. It's been a while since we've been in that position, and that's something I'm really liking. The younger guys that come in, they're taking their opportunity. We feel like we've got good balance to our team. But it means the guys that are in the team are going to have to perform to a really high level. So, we probably see Vine as a potential change this week. He's our vice captain. We think he brings a lot to our team. We think he's fit and he's ready and he's raring to go. But the others will probably have to wait a little while.
How have you found the week with Kay, who didn't get on the ground? What has that meant for him? And he probably can't be sub again, can he? So you have to either pick him or send him back to the twos, which is pretty harsh.
Yeah, it's a tough rule. It's a guy's missed a game of footy. He sat on the bench for the whole game, and I think all clubs will be going through a similar situation now where they've got to make a decision: do we play him a game of footy, or do we make him a sub again? And he's certainly in the frame for selection. He's performed really strongly through the summer. He missed a game of footy, but he's right there, ready to go if we need him.
Sounds like James Harms has had an issue.
Yeah, he has. He's broken a scaphoid bone in his wrist, so he'll be 6 weeks. So that's disappointing for James. He's had a great summer and he's added a fair bit to our midfield. So, it's disappointing to lose James because I know the work he's put in, but at the same time presents an opportunity for someone else.
Yeah, he played out the game with an injury, is that right?
Yeah, he did. He had the injury just after half-time. So he played out the game. He was a little bit sore. But he wasn't sore enough that with scaphoids, the docs say that sometimes they get a lot sorer the day after. That was the case with him. We had it scanned, and initially we thought it was good news on the X-ray, but on the MRI it came up with a little crack in it. So he had that pinned, and he'll be back in 6 weeks.
We saw Angus on the track just feeling his foot a little bit. He had a chat with the docs. Was he completely over the foot? Did you guys think that he was right?
Like any player, it's sensitive when you get a trodden on in an area where you've had an operation. It's sensitive, but he's fine. He got assessed and he came back on and he's ready to go.
So someone's trod on his foot, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Obviously, the big talking point of footy this week is the bump. What's your view? What are you telling the boys to do?
Yeah, look, it's been one of those debates that's been going for 2 or 3 years now. I'm pretty clear with our players that we got to tackle. The bump's very risky, and you got to tackle the right way now too. Anything to do with the head, you're in trouble, and you run the risk if you bump, and you run the risk if you sling tackle. So all those things need to be done really well. But the message from my players is pretty clear: tackle where you can. It's just a really simple element of the game.
Are you comfortable with where it's gone? I think that's a reasonable position to be in.
I think it's just important now that we do protect the head, and we see that now. You see the concussion protocols. It's 12 days. It's a serious issue, and there's elements of our game that we can start to help protect the head, and that's one of them. The bump is a risky option. A sling tackle is a risky option, and all those things need to be executed to a really high level.
Tom McDonald played really well on the weekend, obviously, and after a toughish summer in some ways, what does he have to do to keep that rolling?
He's just got to continue to do the things that got the process of the result that he had. Clearly he put himself in some great positions, but the thing I loved about Tom's game was his his ability to compete both at the air and at the ground level. You know, he had 5 tackles and he wasn't outmarked too often. So it was his competitive nature when he was in those contest areas that made his game stand out. So you know, he's really clear. He trained super well today. So you know, I think he's in really good form.
What are the keys to stopping the Saints?
Oh, they're a very fast offensive-based team. You know, they score really well. So our ability to slow them up, defend that, is going to be really important. You know, they're a quality side. You know, they've got those small forwards that can impact the scoreboard. They're a really well-rounded team. So we know what we're up against. You know, we're going to have to defend strongly, but also put some of our offence against theirs as well.
Is Marble a particularly hard ground to do that on? We've sort of seen some high scores already that grounds that have this year.
Yeah, well, it's got a roof on it with no wind, so that helps. You know, we played at the MCG, which was a bit blowy and made skill execution a bit harder. So, yeah, it is a little bit harder, but at the same time, there's certainly ways that you can defend and help your ability to do that. And you know, we're going to have to do that well on the weekend because the Saints are a very good offensive team.
Does your footy manager come in handy for some IP there?
Yeah, he does. Richo, he knows their players very well. And you know, he was very helpful last year in our preparation heading into the St Kilda game. So obviously having someone that's been there, understands the players, understands a fair bit about their coaching is helpful, but at the same time we've got to make sure we get our game right.
2 first-choice ruckmen for St Kilda aren't available in Marshall and Ryder. Paul Hunter trying to do a job for them, but having the premier ruck in the competition against the team down to their 3rd choice, is that an area that you try to take advantage?
Yeah, it is. You know, we've been a little bit disappointed with our midfield, stoppage work at the moment. You know, it's we've had some dominance with Gorney in our pre-season game and also in round 1, but we didn't get the connection we would like. So we've spent a bit of time on that. So yeah, having a dominant ruck is one thing, being able to execute stoppage work is another. So we've still got some growth in that area, and we think that's an area that we want to improve in. So we'll see how we go this week.
What do you put that down to? Just the lack, in terms of the lack of connection?
Oh, look, it's a combination of range of things. I probably won't go into the finer details what that looks like, other than to say that it's an area that we want to get better at. You know, we think it's important when you have got Max Gawn that you maximise the work that he has, and you know, it's something that we're not happy with in our game at the moment.
How do you find the split for Christian between forward and midfield on the weekend? Do you think you had the balance right?
Yeah, look, we're going to continue to play him obviously mid and forward to centre. That can come in a variety of different ways. But his ability to have shots on goal impact the scoreboard. You know, he probably could have had 5 or 6 genuine shots at goal on the weekend, which is going to have a huge impact in the game. So, no, he's a very important player. We'll place him in the game where we think we need the game, where we need him at that time of the game, because that's the type of impact he can have. So, some games you'll see him more in the midfield, other games you'll see him more deeper in the forward line, other games you'll see him a little bit in between. So, you know, we thought he had a pretty relatively good impact on the weekend, and it could have been a super impact if he had probably taken his opportunities a bit better.
Just briefly back to the bump, and in terms of concussion, I mean, is it more pertinent for you as a coach, given you've seen what's happened to Cade and to some other guys over recent years?
Oh, it's very important. You know, you see some of that, what's taken place with some of our players, and we don't have to go back to even like a Nev Jetta, Cade Coljazi. You know, Nev Jetta went through a very similar thing. Angus Brayshaw. You know, and we've been really fortunate. We've had a couple of guys that have come through that process to a really high level, and obviously Cade that didn't. So, you know, it's an area that we do focus in on and make sure we do it well with our players. But you know, I think it's the competition's just getting it right now. You know, the way they've changed the protocols, what they're doing around the bump and the tackle. I think it's all things that we can control and make our game safer for generations to come.